Psych, let me stop. Um, let me see. Well, actually,
Chief, I'm sorry. I'm being selfish. Real quick. Pardon me.
yes, sir. But
What time does the trek back begin?
12 o'clock
All right, so
is on. I was doing my. Remember, I was doing what you call earlier, my Umar Johnson three peats. You probably didn't listen. That was
I heard you, but I didn't know what you were referring to. Now I know he repeats things three times, but I didn't get it until now. Now I get the joke. I didn't know what you were talking about really. My attention was kind of all over the place when you were
you
saying
good.
that.
I hear who's in the background. Definitely on your daddy duty. That's acceptable. Definitely, brother.
Indeed.
Yes, sir. Um, the okay, Eric. The uh, okay. To be honest, to be truthfully honest, I couldn't. I asked. There's this meme that's floating around the internet. With George Washington saying if we take the feathers off their heads, sandals off, turbans off their heads, and sandals from under their feet, and all that stuff. I sent that to Jose Pimentel Bay, and I asked him, did he have any reference to this particular quote by George Washington? And he replied to me. He said he doesn't think that is a credible comment or whatever. He doesn't know how credible that is. He doesn't think that it is. In a sense, he doesn't have any sources to look into that. Now, being that said, certain minutes are taken away from that convention. Okay, certain uh doc uh minutes are taken away. That's true. In those doc minutes? I'm not sure, but I know this. We spoke about this at convention. Benjamin Franklin, if I get Benjamin Franklin. Franklin has a quote dealing with the swarthy Germans. So this I gotta get a new laptop. Oh my gosh. Okay, right here. In an influential pamphlet, Benjamin Franklin warned against following people of swarthy complexion to enter the United States. His worry focused on particular Germans believed those immigrating into the United States. Now, remember, the setting of Philadelphia at the time, you had an influx of Germans coming in. The setting was not as vast as it is now. It was much of an expanding village and settlement. So these Germans were coming in, and these Germans were not pale skinned. These Germans were swarthy, dark complexion. Now, he also mentioned in the document that's this quote is coming from. He talks about the whole world, how everyone is a brown, dark or brown skin, and he's worried about the existence of the pale skinned European. He didn't say pale skin, but he was just talking about the Anglos, talking about him and everyone else from England in those different parts who are of his complexion, and that they are of a minority in compared to all the vast brown swarthy people that live throughout the world. And he was naming France, Spain, blah, 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 blah. He was putting up the names of these different countries, and behold, a lot of these different countries had people coming in from their country into the United States. Now, not only that, you had the existence of the natives who were fairly brown, dark brown as well. So I just know that that's the only thing I can say could be relatable to that quote or relatable to that circumstance, that there was a fear, an underlying fear of the growing Moorish Asiatic population in the United States. and that made a lot of our pale skin European counterparts very nervous, and a lot of
Mm.
them are now. That's why they're killing us now because it's a almost like it's like a purge, an unspoken purge that they're having, and they're trying to curb our population because they know that our reproduction, our more our I don't know,
Birth
mortality,
rate,
birth
birth
rate.
rate.
Thank you, birth rate. Thank you very much. Our birth rate outsees theirs. You know what I'm saying? That's why I don't believe the whole when they talk about sisters dying in the hospital. Oh, you gotta go to no sisters be popping out babies like it ain't nothing. Like it's and drop a baby and go back to cooking dinner. Like it's like they do it. Like sisters have that ability to, you know what I mean? So, I don't I know women now pregnant back to back. You know what I'm saying? There ain't nothing wrong with it. You know what I'm saying? I think what it is like they put this, whether it be fear from false statistics and media driven propaganda, and just even the attempt to shorten our lives is based off of a fear of not matching up to you know or them not being as vast in population, and them having the birth problems, them having the birth problems because actually the whole situation about the whole fight against abortion is not necessarily about preserving life. It's about actually the Europeans discouraging their women from having abortions to save their population. In fact, within their particular extreme circles, if I were to say that, they are promoting the rape of white women, of pale skinned European women. They're promoting the actual, like, to save the their population. These particular groups, these extremist groups, are encouraging men to rape the women to get them pregnant so they can save their population. This is true. It's sick, but this is what they're doing. This is how much fear they're pumping into themselves. You know what I'm saying? They're circulating the fear. We ain't doing nothing. We just, we just trying to get by. Like, that's it. That's on y'all. Y'all want to do. Y'all crazy. Keep that over there. But for the most part, that's the only thing I could really connect to that particular situation, is this quote in this circumstance regarding Benjamin Franklin writing this pamphlet in regards to making others aware of the growing swarthy part of complexion people in the United States. Islam, I
Thank
think,
you for that.
I think I was long winded. My fault, bro.
So I got a follow up question for that then.
Go ahead,
In
bro.
the well, so the Jewish community historically have made up things. They call them myths. They make up myths to
Mm-hmm.
support their nation and their creed, and
Mm-hmm.
it does support them. The ideology of them being so-called the favorites of God, and they make up historical events that can't be archaeologically proven, and people in our community, whether in a temple or not, have taken to doing stuff like that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe changing history on certain people, saying it was all Moors or African people, where there might not be no way to verify that or no evidence to support that claim. So how do you feel about us doing such things if it leads to us having maybe a more sense of pride, self-esteem, etc., making this up? Because a lot of the things that we push for history are things that happen that's being pushed on the internet. It's things that even didn't happen or they're extremely exaggerated. Like I think you told me a book one time about United States history, and they took the word Negro out and they put more there, and then they circulated the book online like that was what it really said, but it didn't say that. So someone reading it just I forgot the word that they use. It's a word basically when it's like backwards history. I forgot the term for this. It's when people like change history in the present to match what they wanted you to think about it in the past. But Moors do that a lot. And I was wondering, like, because the positives I see from that is, it helps our self esteem, but yet it's an inaccurate picture. So do you think that's something that we should be using as a tool to help our people, or we should just try to keep it as politically correct and scientifically correct as possible?
Being that the title or the marquee of our organization is the More Science Simple America. So science is key to what we propagate. That means it has to add up on both scales. It can't be too far-fetched, too fantasy to actually exist. Now, what we have to be accepting of and come to the understanding is that history has been distorted by the oppressor, and they have buried a lot of facts, and we have not, whether it be Moors, whether it be any other group of Asiatics, have not collectively gathered and fully funded and came with the resources to uh, build adequate excavation teams, um, archaeological teams, anthropological circles. A lot of our scholars, such as Jose Pimentel Bay, uh, Sister Diana Marnici, Reynolds, uh, I can go on. All these scholars, they know each other, but they do their own independent research. A lot of them are not paid. They're underpaid, they're unappreciated. Dr. Clark, when Dr. Clark passed, was it Dr. Clark or was it Dr. Ben? One of them, when one of them passed, Damon Lillard, Damon Lillard, the basketball player, secretly funded the funeral, paid all the funeral expenses on the low. A lot of people don't know that. I think it was for Dr. Ben. He secretly paid all the funeral expenses because Dr. Ben didn't have no money. He died poor. So my point is that, you know, we have to accept the fact that certain things we haven't got to yet to decipher on our own. You know what I'm saying? From our perspective. So we have to keep that in mind. But for the most part, so when we come up with certain things, a lot of times we have to put certain disclaimers in what we say to say that this could be this particular thing, but I can't say it's that indefinite. Or when we speak, we have to say this could hint to this point, but I'm not sure. We need more evidence to make sure that this is right and exact. You know what I'm saying? There is, and there is more information coming up about the existence of Moors during the colonial era, colonial time here in America. Okay. Um, the far-fetched stretch is when you start saying all the Native Americans identified as Moors. That's totally false and that's disingenuous. Can't say that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not the narrative. You can't say the Lenape, the Lenni Lenape were Moors because they never identified as Moors collectively. You might have got a pocket of them, like further towards like Delaware, right? Maybe they identified as Moors, but if you go further in North Jersey, up North Jersey, they didn't identify as Moors. You know what I'm saying? Because you had different clans of the Lenape people, and they all had their own totem, you know, animals that help govern that they govern by. This is one section is this group of Lenape or this and this and so forth. You might belong to this section. It's almost like uh uh uh, uh it's almost Naruto. Y'all don't know if you ever watched Naruto. Naruto, like you might, and you have a headband, and the headband, whatever the insignia on your headband is, that's the village you belong to. You might be the village of the sand, village of the hidden in the leaves. You might be village of, so forth and so on. So that's how the natives, the living nappy is. So they are not going to say they're Moors, and that's disingenuous to say certain things. Now they are native uh, tribes that identified as Moors because they had contact with Moors and adopted Moorish style identities. You know what I'm saying? And they blended in with Moors. That's true. That's proven to be true. That's if you read the research by brother Jose Pimentel Bay, he proves that. He documents that. So there is certain documentation that lines with everything. Like sister Dana Marnici, her research, she her stuff almost parallels the prophet stuff when chapter 47. She read chapter 47 and was like, yo, this stuff is like, how did he know this? Like I interviewed a lady and she said, yeah, it's almost dead on. Like he had to be in some type of high circle of scholarship or whatever, or something to know this because back when he wrote this, it wasn't that information wasn't rarely known, you know. And this is a noted uh peer reviewed scholar who's talking about our prophet. Okay. So like we have enough information, we have certain avenues where we can find things to a certain extent that we don't have to create an elaborate story. You know what I'm saying? Like we have to try to be more on point because when we go for the nations of the world, you know what I'm saying? People gonna be looking at us with a fine with the binoculars, like they're gonna be picking apart our stuff. Like they said they this and they that. That's not true. It's that. You know what I'm saying? And we got to stand on what we know. You know what I mean? Um, certain things are far fetched, coming from different Moors, and that's because they didn't have the means to really fully research. And a lot of times when you're looking at an elder and an elder comes to you and he sits down in front of you and he begin to talk, it's natural for us to listen to the elder and not necessarily challenge the elder, but take what they said and just be like, and then we share it. It's common griot tradition. This is in Africa. They do it all the time. Like a lot of the history that they've spread in Africa amongst our brothers and sisters in Africa is probably not historically accurate at all. But it's a tradition of storytelling. That's why certain things were said in the adept chambers had to stay in the adept chambers because the world wasn't ready for it and it would get scrutinized and looked at probably as myth. But it's believed when the prophet was speaking, he was coming from a remote viewing point of view where he literally could see the times and memorial and speak about it, because certain information I came across personally um, showed that he was probably trained to do remote viewing. You know what I'm saying? If y'all know what remote viewing is some people can go back and within their conscious mind and travel to certain points of time in existence. And some of the information I came across with who he knew before he came to Jersey, he actually possibly had that connection. Oh, hold on real quick. My battery is getting low. Put my laptop. It's changed. Okay, no, I got it. I'm straight. All right. So that being said, I don't know if I'm answering it precisely or the way you want it. I don't know. Am I giving? I don't know. Like, I'm just trying to say the best way from my point of view. So I'm being honest. But that doing what the Jews did, they actually. And, let me just okay. Let me watch my words. Okay, doing what certain people have done as presuming a Jewish identity. Okay, and because it's not the fact that they assumed a Jewish identity. It's more so that these particular people or these Zionists have cornered off Semitism and made it all about them. And they've overshadowed the existence of other Jewish family members, where other people who claim Jews won't even get recognized like that. You know what I'm saying? Islam, brother, y'all, you got a question?
Islam. I kind of wanted to just answer the question like simply.
If you could answer the
You,
simply, go ahead.
yeah, I mean,
I yield. Go ahead.
thank you, Grand Governor. First and foremost, I want to rise to my highest heights, giving all perfect praises to our Father God Allah, and give all honors to all the divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Confucius, and our illustrious Prophet Noble Jew Ali. In the United States of America, we have something called freedom of religion. Freedom of religion gives us the right to express ourselves and exercise our religion the way that we want to. In the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, chapter 47, the prophet gives us the information that was necessary that well, at least my understanding, what he was talking about in here in America, North, South, Central, and the Adjoining Islands is where the Empire of Morocco extended from northwest of Mexico, which is Africa, in modern times, over here. Now, how do we prove that? If you want to ask that question, would be, well, we could look at the letters from the empire, the Emperor of Morocco, the Sultan of Morocco, and George Washington. If that's what, and then you have multiple letters and treaties, which Sister Picola could hit you in the head with that, with the treaties, because we can go to there, proving that this is our domain. So, but the simplest way is this is our religion. And can't nobody tell us how to practice our religion. Alhamdulillah for Noble Drew Ali, Islamism.
Islam. That's a strong point. If it really came down to it, that's a strong point. And I think that's what he was trying to do for us is the same thing the Jews are doing in a sense. But the the truth of the truth of the matter is that what the prophet put in 47, chapter 47, can be proven. So we're not too far off. We're not making up myth, you know what I'm saying, in a sense to say that there were dominions over here because you could find masjids in Cuba, you know what I'm saying, masjids all throughout this, different places. They're not fully erected. Some of them are in ruin, but you have remnants of Arabic tablets, you know what I'm saying, written in cuneiform, found in Nevada, you know what I'm saying, some written, over here, Algonquin language. The Algonquin language is a mixed Arabic script, you know what I'm saying? So you have you have evidence of Moorish people coming over, whether it be there or even the Canaanites going back all the way back to Phoenicians. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to plug they joint like that, but yo, be honest, I'll give credit where credit's due. Moors in America did an excellent job a year or two ago talking about the Phoenician stone that was found in Illinois. So, you have Phoenicians that came over. We know who Phoenicians are. Phoenicians are Canaanites. There are people. That's who we descended from. We come from the Canaanites, the Moabites, those tribes and clans from over there. So um, there's experience. And then when you have to learn the
The,
language,
the ancient Berbers.
ancient Berbers, that's what it be, the ancient Berbers. So and you'll see, and then you'll talk about the article where they say that the Mauritanians, they call people in South America or Mexico the Mauritanian races that live in Mexico. You know what I'm saying? So you have these different articles and old articles that existed and that were circulating at the time in the early 20th century. You know what I'm saying? So you had that, and then you have like I said, chapter 47. It's you have to know the language. Or not like you have to. I want to say know the language. You have to acknowledge and pay attention to the language when he says dominions and habitations, dominions and habitations, and he puts it in order. Dominions and habitations. Okay, so dominions is first, and then habitation. A dominion is political bound, or it has a lawful authority attached to it. Okay, and a habitation is you just happen to be there. Y'all just move from one place to another, and y'all just chilling. Like it ain't, there's no, you don't have no kingdom, no desire, none of that. Is just, hey, I ain't like it over there. Something happened. We moved over here, and this is where we happen to be right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's what in the habitation, you just inhabited that place. Where dominion is there's an authority there that's behind you being. You know what I'm saying? There's an agenda of conquering and spreading forth the idea. Now, Friday, brother Noor, you weren't here, but we talked about a little bit on the sorry y'all, damn it, the Western Sahara case with Morocco, and we talked about two types of citizens that explained in that case. Is you had the Bled Mexan and Bled Siba. Bled Mexan and Bled Siba are two different citizens recognized in that case. The Black Mexican are citizens by authority, by lawful authority. So whatever paperwork, whatever they got to know that they're citizens of Morocco under the Sultan. Okay. Now, a Blessed Seba is someone who doesn't have the paperwork, is not lawfully a citizen, but for some reason recognizes the authority of the Sultan and accepts the authority of the Sultan. It's not a citizen, full-fledged citizen, but you accept the authority of the Sultan. This particular type of citizen is probably most likely what you would have found in America for anything. You know what I'm saying? Especially in the colonial areas, dealing with the people like Abdul Rahman, who was caught up in slavery from Futa Jalin, and people and like the four families that were involved in the Free and Sundry Moore case down in South Carolina. These people, regardless of their political affiliation at the time, accepted the Sultan as their ruler and head. And for one for point, if you look at Abdul Rahman was a prince. He was already a prince. He was from Futajalin. He had from a different kingdom. Okay. But at the time for his freedom, he accepted the Sultan's authority. And he was immediately released from slavery. So there you have kind of like a domestics issue bumped up to a federal issue, more of a international issue. It was domestic in a sense, but it got bumped up to an international issue. Okay. So that, that's a prime example. Did we go too far on topic?
I don't think so, but it's something I wanted to add real fast, or something I wanted to bring up.
Good.
All right, so one sec, I just. All right, about to jump on my. All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, so fast,
Hello?
yeah, and a lot of people there wasn't so educated on more science like they made him they was, because they was the sheiks and the grand sheiks, but
Hello? You going in and out. Hello? Islam, Eric. Islam? You probably traveling through a bad area. Something about sheets.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I hear you
All right, that's
now.
probably my Bluetooth from my phone. I mean, my Bluetooth from my car be acting funny. But
Okay.
so you ain't hear nothing I said up to this point.
Nah, it's something about grand sheets and something.
All right, so so I was talking about the grand sheiks and the chiefs and grand sheiks, my old temple. They didn't directly do their own research, and they
Yeah.
may be the Sunday school instructors. So I had to like vet more information. So most of the more information that we was espousing came from the public. A lot of the stuff in the public, it's not to say that it's wrong, but they create a narrative from the information that's in the public that necessarily don't reflect the actual documents themselves. I even encountered this when I was with the Moors of the Round Table. A lot of stuff they teaching, they can't verify it in actual American history. For instance, the 13th Amendment 20 section, that never passed. If you look at the congressional record, it will tell you that. But if no one ever read the congressional record, they would just go off the narrative that we created that passed and it didn't. But that's not my point. So there's another one. On the letter for the Sultan, on the letter from George Washington to the Sultan of Morocco was addressed to the city of New York. I mean, my fault. It was addressed from the city of New York. So some people get the ideology that because it says city of New York, December 1st, 1789, that this is the empire state or the empire because they get a conception that that's what the Sultan was. But if you look at the photocopy of which is online, you can just Google it. If you look at the actual letter itself, it tells you it was written at the city of New York, not to the city of New York. Which means, like, they called New York the Empire State. New York was called the Empire State because during the time that the Constitution was drafted, not the time that the Constitution was drafted, the city of New York was the capital of the United States. It was moved to Washington D.C. But at the time that the Constitution was drafted, not the Declaration of Independence, not the Articles of Association, not the Articles of Confederation, all that was done in Philadelphia. During the time that the Constitution was drafted in 1789, George Washington was in the city of New York.
Right.
And I say that to say is that that's not validation that this is Morocco, as some people will say, not in the temple. I'm not saying that we didn't have no territories here, because there's evidence that at least phenotypically there was African people that ran even Hawaii, like dark people, like darker probably than everybody on this call, like jet black dark.
Yeah, you're right.
But to extend Morocco, which is like Prophet said, northwest of Mexico, to over here, that was something that he said that was done during what he called Egypt, the capital empire of the million of Mexico. He's talking about a whole different empire than Morocco.
Right. You gotta read chapter 4. We all have to begin to read chapter 47 with a fine-tooth comb and read it slowly and make sure we understand the sentence structure, where the periods are, where the commas are, because all that is very helpful in understanding the context. And what Brother Eric is saying, Brother Noah is saying is very key, because what happens is when we take assumptions of certain things, we begin to shift the narrative, and then we go with it. And a lot of people don't care to really test the information, because you know what it is really, and this is the honest truth, and this is what I feel. And maybe I'm wrong, but I'm gonna come from my personal feelings, being in this information and all that. A lot of times, y'all, we just looking for an escape. You know what I'm saying? Anything that takes us away from this mundane hustle and bustle, paying the bills, going to our job, having to worry about rent, worrying about this and that. Sometimes we just need an escape. And when you get this information, no matter who it comes from, it's like, I knew it. It's more than life than this. And we're so entrenched in the fact that it's something else besides the craziness of our lives. We hold on to whatever takes us away from that. You understand? And it happens, and it's okay in the beginning. It's really okay in the beginning. But then you have to start to apply logic. That's why you have a left-sided brain. It's supposed to shift everything. Chapter 5, moves. You have to not only apply those tools to your character, but you got to apply those tools to information. You have to square it up, make sure it's symmetrical. You know what I'm saying? You might have to chip away at some lies. You know what I'm saying? Use the axe. You might chip away at some of the lies, some dust it off a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because the information that you get is like you finding old bones and stuff like that. Like when somebody digs up old bones or old artifacts, they don't just dig the artifact out and the artifact's clean. They gotta chip away, they gotta get the dirt off, the corrosion. That's information that got so much dirt on it, you gotta chip away from it. Because some people had lied and put layers on and didn't really research. And what Eric is saying about dealing with the 13th Amendment is true, because, and it's very important what Eric is saying, because if we don't get those certain facts right, that'll shift the stuff the prophet was saying in the warning. That'll shift his situation, what he was saying, because he was in line with the law. He even said that those amendments were to bring the union, the southern states back into the union. He was speaking facts, so we got to be careful. You know what I mean? Brother Noah was on point with what he was saying. Praise Allah for your wisdom, brother. Islam. Go ahead, brother. Yeah.
Islam Bishop, you got to run me back in there, because y'all kind of lost me somewhere in this. You lost me somewhere in the sauce. Is the brother saying that this is not the Moroccan Empire? Or hold up, I need him to clarify some. I need either him or you to clarify some things about the Moroccan Empire.
What he was saying is that the principal capital, the seat of power of Morocco, was not in the United States or the territory of the United States.
Yes.
Seat of power.
But that's not stated. That's not. I mean, I can only make the assumption that he's talking about people outside of the temple.
Yes, that's what he's saying. He's saying people
because
outside.
because in the chapter 47, because I was hoping you was going to start reading it. And I was going to bust it down and say, let's read chapter 47 and let's read the 101s, because this is the beautiful part about this conversation is this is Sunday school. And in Sunday school, we normally talk about the questionnaires, but all of this is still more science in general. So if we need clarity sometimes, the basics. My grandpa used to tell me this when he was teaching me how to play basketball. The basic fundamentals. Sometimes if you get to the basic fundamentals and you master them, then the game is easy from there.
Yeah.
And sometimes if we get cloudy from information we might get outside of the temple or anywhere else, or historical information,
Yes, sir.
because we Moorish Americans, and because this is America, and because this is our religious freedom, we gotta go there.
Yeah.
And we get that layup and that little sweetie, that little 5-foot jump shot, it always brings us back because those are easy.
Well,
so I just wanted to get the clarification. That's all.
Yeah. Okay.
I can clarify that a little bit. I would like to.
Well, if you want the floor.
Yeah, I would love. Yeah, I would love it. So
all right, I'll let you
go ahead. Page 3, which he uses a term, because we're talking about time. The idea of time contorts because he's talking about a bunch of different times at the same time. So we bunch it all together, like all this stuff is happening simultaneously. But really, in chapter 47, he mentions that all that over to the present North, South, Central America was before the great earthquake which caused the great Atlantic Ocean. So, I mean, how long ago was that? We ain't talking about 100, 200 years ago. Definitely, we ain't talking about that. So
Islam. Hold on, brother, stop for a second. I want you to stay there. I don't want you to leave. He also said that this is the present. We are the true possessors of the present, and we are the founders of the Moroccan Empire. So when you say present, that means today. Or you want to say 1913, 1916, 1925, 1928, whatever, that's present.
But what's
the
context?
Extension. He mentioned extension there too. He mentioned extension before the great earthquake. So we can't ignore that. He said before the great earthquake. So he's talking about in that particular passage, he's not talking about present right there. Because he said before the great earthquake that caused the great Atlantic Ocean. So we cannot be talking about present right there. That's why he's talking about a bunch of different times at the same time. If you go to page 3, he mentions the present Morocco on page 3. He mentions all the countries of the present Moroccan Empire, none of which is here in America.
Islamism, brother, I wouldn't mind if you read it. You can read chapter 47. This is
to the Muslims or Northwest Southwest Africa. These are the Moabites, Hamites, Canaanites who were driven out of the land by Canaan by Joshua and received permission for the Pharaohs to have that portion of Egypt, or I think to Africa. In these in later years, they formed themselves kingdoms. These kingdoms are called this day. So now he's talking about present. He said this day, all authority rights is published in the statute in 1927. He said this day they'll call Morocco, Algiers, Tunis, Tripoli, etc. All those countries on the Barbary coast of present-day Africa.
Right. Now, so when he's speaking about we being the true possessors, he's talking about our lineage. We're talking about where we come from. So we today, even though in this particular epoch that we exist in, where they put these labels on us, when we take these labels off and we realize our true ancestry, we understand that we are the true possessors of the present day Morocco. And probably not that, only present day Algeria, present day, all that, because our lineage comes from those Berber tribes. If you talk, like I said, if you begin to dialogue with Sister Dana Marnichi, she'll tell you our lineage, majority of the people in America who go by African American have a bloodline lineage that goes straight back to the Barbary tribes, to those tribes, those original people who possessed Morocco, who possessed Algiers, Tunis, Tripoli, etc., even going all the way back to the Canaanite and those original inhabitants of Mecca and Yemen and all that. That's our lineage, because these were several migrations from millenniums, came over through Africa to America and so forth. So our blood is tied into them, you know what I'm saying, in some form, Islam. So when we say we're the true possessors, that means, yes, we are the true possessors. And in the context, why is he saying true possessors? Because when he wrote it, it was the time where the French was in control of Morocco. So the people who are in Morocco now, I'm not saying all the people, because you still got some original people there, but the people who controlling the government, who are running the government, are not full-blooded line original people of Morocco. A lot of them are French, foreign Arab, other, saying European invasion blood, Spanish, all that. They're not necessarily full, in a sense. Where us, because you got to even think about Moorish Spain. When Moorish Spain, when during the time of the Inquisition, a lot of the Moors, they came back into Morocco. And if they didn't come to Morocco, they went into America. Because we supposedly had things set up over here a little bit, had different plots of, and territories here over them to seek refuge. So you gotta, you have an influx of different waves, but the bloodline goes back to those Berber, those so-called Berber clans were actually Moorish, if I would use that term. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like the context of what's saying in chapter 47 has to be clear. Islam, when we look into, even when we say, why are you Moorish American? Right. And it's in the questionnaire, it says, we're descendants of Moroccans born in America. And then later on in the questionnaire, it says, what's the modern name for a Moabite? Moroccan. So what are you saying? We're the Moabites, Canaanites, right? So he's using, as Supreme Grand Keith Daniel says, he's using algebraic language. He's going to tell you something, and he's going to tell you the answer, but you got to figure out why the answer is connected to the question. Why is that the answer? It's algebra. It's like, so you got 2 times x, or 2 times x equals 10, right? So you know that whatever's times 2 is going to get you 10, but you got to figure out what x is. Why is that connected? Why is 2 connected to 10? You know what I'm saying? So it's like an algebra. It gets you thinking mathematically. He's using, this is science. It said, but in the article, I forgot the name of the article in the Moorish Guide, it says, uh, this is where science and religion blend, and there's no contradiction. I showed that to Supreme Grand Keith Dangerous. I said, yo, look at this. He said, yo, that's it. If you want to define how we believe our system of faith in the Moorish side of America is where religion and science blend, and there's no contradiction or conflict. There's no conflict. I'm sorry. There's no conflict. Sorry. There's no conflict. That when religion and science blend and there's no conflict. I gotta find that art. I'll look for it. I don't know where the heck that. Where are we at? All right. Are we still on the same topic? I'm sorry.
Islam.
Islam.
This is Brother AD Stay out of Miami, Florida. First, I want to rise, give praise to Allah,
Who?
honors to the noble prophet. AD Stay
AD.
from Miami,
Okay.
Florida.
Miami, Florida. Okay. How you doing, brother?
Right, bro. This is an interesting topic. I would like to chime in on the topic.
Feel free.
Chapter 47 is actually one of my favorite chapters in the Quran.
Yes, sir.
Again, I would have to state that it clearly gives you the dominion and the habitation, and it does give you a timeline within that sentence.
Yes,
The
sir.
sentence says their dominion and inhabitation extended northwest and southwest Africa, across the Great Atlantis to the present North, South, and Central America, and the Atlantic Islands before
Yes,
the
sir.
Great Earthquake. So in that sentence, he said that their dominion and inhabitation Moroccan Empire. Like, I used to get into it with people, whether it was the ancient Moroccan Empire or whatever. But for real, it's irrelevant. The truth of the matter is, according to our religious doctrine, it's the present Moroccan Empire, Islam.
Yeah. When we talk about, when you look into, hold on, let me pull it up. We talk about chapter 47. I'm gonna have to go back to this might be it. Pull it up here. And make it a little big if I can. Hold on. I gotta get a new laptop. Uh-oh. Okay. All right, so I got it. This is not it. Hold on. Pardon me for a minute. We'll go back up. But when you look at that, like I said, you have to understand what's being said from, a position of grammar and context when dealing with that chapter. Let's see if this is it. I'm going to hit this one. Let's see. So let's see if we can actually review chapter 47. People gonna be like, "What is he doing?" That's right.
Islam Muslims.
Good, man.
I asked the brothers on the line to please let the sheikh demonstrate. He's the sheikh, he's the grand governor and he's the sheikh of this mission. Let him sorry, sheikh. Let him demonstrate. And if you have questions or contentions, just please hold them until he's finished with the floor. Islam.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate that gesture. And I could say this: I'm enjoying brother Yah, brother Norbay, and the brother AB Bay. If I'm right, if that's your name, if I got that right. I'm enjoying the fact that they are participating and giving their portion, and because the brothers are all three of them are sharp from what I can make out. It's 46. All right, give me that. We almost did. And I wanted to do 40. I'm gonna end up doing chapter 46 eventually. Because there's a lot of information in that with the founding of Christianity. And I want to get brother Solo when he ain't got the babies on his hip come through and demonstrate. All right, if I can read this, we're gonna start with verse 2. Old man Cush and his father are the first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. Okay. His father Ham. Now, I want y'all to understand when these terms are being used, these are terms for civilizations, people. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily an actual person, but these are led terms that are leading that you have to find, or clues you have to find to connect you to the actual information leading to the event. Okay? So Old Man Cush, that's the title. You can't go in the Bible and find Old Man Cush. I'm looking for the name Old Man Cush in the Bible. They ain't gonna find it. Now you got to understand the context. Like Old Man Cush, that means this is the ancient Cush. So we know, according to the biblical archaeology, they'll say, well, Cush is actually Nubia, or not Nubia, Ethiopia. right? That's what they'll say. And they say Ham is African, Egypt, or the dark ones. We're going within the biblical. That's what they'll say. But these are actually dealing with a group of civilizations moving forward from Canaan. So they say old man Cush came first, right? And then the older people came next. His father Ham and his family were second. That's what I said. It said Cush came first, which you look at Ethiopia. If you study Drusilla Q. Dunson's book, uh, Ethiopia and the wonderful Ethiopia and the Kushite and the wonderful Kushite Empire. If you get her book, and one thing about her, she actually is a survivor of uh, the Tulsa, Oklahoma Black Wall Street massacre. But she wrote this book, and it talks about Ethiopia predating Kemet in a sense. A lot of uh, the gods or the deities existed in Ethiopia. It was only to a point where even the bloodline of whatever the royalty in Kemet will be married to the royalty in Ethiopia at one point. Okay. So I'm just saying the civilization in itself that was started in Ethiopia predated Kemet. Okay. So given that understanding, we can see that possibly a civilization from Canaan, if anything, something was started first, since Ethiopia is known as Kush. And then Ham comes later, which is older, but they didn't get their foot started in Africa yet until after Kush, old man Kush started, or his people, the inhabitants, those inhabitants came and it started. Okay. It's on. So then came the word Ethiopia, which means the demarcation line of the dominion of Amex. The first true and divine, listen, the first true and divine name of Africa. Okay. The dividing of the land between father and son. The dominion of Kush, northeast, southeast Africa, and northwest, southwest was the father's dominion of Africa. So Kush occupied northeast, southeast. The father occupied northwest, southwest. So you follow along. In later years, many of their brethren from Asia in the Holy Lands joined them. So these are more tribes coming. Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit northwest Africa. So they inhabit the whole thing, they inhabit the northwest. They are the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire. So the present Moroccan Empire, he's talking about what Morocco is now. They are the founders and the true possessors. That means in nature. Doesn't mean now. Because when this was written, France was in charge of Morocco. But he's talking about in nature of the fact that they founded those territories with their Canaanite, Hittite, Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan seeking new homes. Now that changes the dynamic because it wasn't just the Moabites. He said the Canaanite, Hittite, Amorite brethren. That means several tribes collectively, along with the Moabites, settled these lands and founded these empires. Their dominion and habitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa, across the Great Atlantis, even into the present North, South, Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands. Before the Great Earthquake, which caused the Great Atlantic Ocean. So, all right, stop at 7. Let's not go anywhere else. So it's saying that there is a huge event, a cataclysmic event that occurred to shift these continents apart, these land masses apart, to cause the ocean to occur. Okay, when I talk, he didn't say the big flood. You talk about everybody looking at Noah's flood. We ain't talking about Noah's flood. We're talking about, he said, an earthquake, a cataclysmic earthquake that shook. So we're talking about something that now I was told, if you look at how old the Atlantic Ocean is, it's over, how old is it? I forget, is it like 180 million years old? Well, let me look it up. Just because I remember looking it up, and I don't want to be wrong and be out of pocket. The ocean, how old is Atlantic Ocean? I'm off a little bit. 150 million years old. As a matter of fact, it's the youngest. The Atlantic Ocean is the youngest of the 5 oceans, having formed during the Jurassic period. Okay. And like, we're talking about ancient times. We're talking about Jurassic. See, a lot of people, the one thing we got to get in mind, sometimes we think we got to start thinking completely like what the European tells us to think, and come to a realization that certain things might have existed. Oops, what did I just do? Certain things might have existed due to well, we existed during the time of Jurassic periods. You know what I'm saying? Because I just told you 150 million years, right? Well, let's I lost my I lost it. Where's my car? Let me get back to it. So there's actual proof or unknown proof that Homo sapien human beings existed during the time of dinosaurs. You know, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you're looking at why do you think? And sometimes we have to go a little bit and accept the fact that certain things might be a little out of reach of conventional modern day scholarship. You know what I'm saying? We got to come to that fact. You know what I'm saying? We have to keep it open. Our minds have to be spongy. You understand what I'm saying? Your mind has to be spongy. You can't have a brick mind. You got to be spongy. So you don't know, you know, be able to soak up information in a sense, but still be able to squeeze out what's unnecessary. You know what I mean? You want to keep an open focus because there's some stuff that might blow your mind. And you might like, hey, I ain't never know that, or that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to consider certain things that could be a possibility. Like, if we look at the whole concept of the that's coming out today with the with the with the Tartarian and stuff like that. Right? We look at that. Right? We look at the Tartarians and that information, right? And then they try to link it to the world fairs and the building is these different things. I'm not trying to say. I'm not trying to. I don't know. I'm not going to say it isn't true or it's not true. It's very interesting. There's a possibility it is true, but guess what? That don't mean they were built by Tartarians. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at the statuettes and stuff, and I'm like, okay, this looks kind of Greek Roman. I don't know. I know that in Dana and not Dana, David McRitchie, his book Ancient and Modern Brits, he speaks about talking about the Scots and them talking about royalty that exists in America. Talking about these Moorish bloodlines that lived in America at the time. So I wonder if David McRitchie's footnote comments in Ancient Modern Brits had something to do with some of those colossal building, World Fair buildings, or so forth, whatever, in America. You know what I'm saying? This is how my mind thinks. I got to take one bit of information from here and a bit of information from there, and I got to see whether it connects. Because that's sometimes if you could pull from multiple sources and show a kind of a thread where it connects that's what it's supposed to do. But now you look at, we just said 150 million years is the Atlantic Ocean, okay? So it says this is before the earthquake. So all this happened before the earthquake. Okay, all this came into play before the earthquake. It said the present Moroccan Empire. All right. So let's look back. Did he say anything about the Moroccan Empire prior to saying the present Moroccan Empire? Let's look. Go to verse 5. Nope. Verse 4. Nope. Verse 3. Nope. Verse 2. Nope. So you don't hear him mention about the Moroccan Empire. So what kingdom extended over here at that time? There was whatever was governed by those tribes, given the permission by the pharaoh. Islam. So now let's move on. Their dominion inhabitants extended to northeast, southwest Africa, across the Atlantis until the present north-south Central America, also Mexico, and Atlantis Islands before the Great Earthquake, which caused the Great Atlantis, so Atlantic Ocean. Now, we looked into how old the Atlantic Ocean is. I don't know if you got your Quran or whatever. If you want to mark in it, you can put parentheses right after Atlantic Ocean. You can put 150 million years old. Okay, and it's the youngest. It's the youngest out of all the bodies of the other oceans. It's the youngest. Why I want you to do that? Because and put Jurassic period. Put Jurassic period. Okay. So I want to get you to think. The next verse says 8. Verse 8, it says, The river Nile was what? It was dredged. It was dredged and made by the ancient pharaohs of Egypt. Now, remember, we talked about Jurassic period. He said the River Nile was dredged. What type of people were going to take the dig a Nile? How strong? How big you got to be? Because sometimes we thinking about, okay, they dug it. It's probably like a whole 50 million people on one project digging this Nile. I don't think so. Talking about Jurassic period, talking about existence of man, being in the time of possible gigantic creatures. You're probably talking about a different type of human being, a more upscale, heightly human being whose physical mass was capable of dredging a Nile. So let's look at how old is the Nile. How old is the Nile? Oh, I be putting too much tabs. And chapter 47 is so packed with clues. Okay? It's 30 million years. 30 million years. Okay? It's 30 million years. So within that time frame, you're talking about probably 150 years. What period of time would that be considered? Was that still Jurassic? This is how I study. I do quick searches. Yes. And humans were alive at that time, but we're talking about you know the way the European puts it. It'd be like we trying to figure out our existence at that time, but the way the prophets putting it is like, yo, we was already up and running. Like, you know what I'm saying? 30 minutes ago. What period? Period. So it's the Eocene. The epoch is geological epoch lasted 56 to 33.9 million. So it's the second epoch of the Paleogene period, the modern Cenozoic era. So it's the Paleogenic era. Okay, so this is where like continents is everything was shifting. So the river might have been necessary at that time in order to, because look, you go back to let's go back to the chapter. Let's get you thinking. The river Nile was dredged, right, by the pharaohs. Listen, also the Niger River was dredged by the great pharaoh of Egypt, right? In those ancient days, for trade, it extended eastward from the river Nile, westward across the great Atlantic, right? It was used for trade and transport. So they had to, so now when the continent shift, at this time they began to shift. Okay. We're not saying that one great earthquake caused the ocean to just suddenly appear. It probably was an earthquake that began to shift the continents apart 150 million years old, or millions of years ago. Okay, so this caused, pardon, so pardon about it, a possible need, more of a distance between both hemispheres. So in order for them to connect for the trade, they say, okay, they found it useful. Like, we might need to dredge a river because it's not easy for us to for the caravans just to cross over. They can't cross over easily. So we might need the river to run things through because the earthquake caused so much distance. This is my guess. I'm not saying this is what it is. I'm saying if we begin to think the reason why they dredged these rivers for trade. Because once the earthquake happened, it probably separated everything. So now you need the rivers to connect through the ocean with the current because it probably wasn't as far apart at the time. 30 million years ago, it probably wasn't as far apart. You know what I'm saying? And think about it now though. Think about this. Okay, so I believe everyone here on the call is aware of the currents in the Atlantic Ocean that run throughout between America and Africa. So is this an ancient knowledge? Because they've been dealing with the separation of the continents so like for so much time that they knew the currents would take them from Africa and swing them all the way into America and then catch the same current and take them back out again. Okay. So it's something to think. So this is how I study. Like you gotta, when you hear something, you see something, look it up. See the distance of it. See how old this is. This is kind of like your study guide. And do you go look up points of information? Some stuff you ain't gonna find on Google. Some points you're gonna find in the middle of a professor's lecture. And notice I said in the middle of it. It ain't even gonna be the point at top, but you're gonna find it in the middle of it, and you gotta pull it out. Oh, he said this. It said Jesus is a descendant of the he's Moabite, right? Or whatever. Or he's Canaanite, right? There's a whole book called Jesus the Phoenician. I got it. Very interesting book. I ain't read it all though, but from what I read, and the lecture is on YouTube. It's crazy, but it's someone's research that kind of ties into the prophet's teachings. A guy who probably never heard of Prophet Noble Drew, right? And then one thing when you read chapter 47, you have to pay attention to the sequence of verses or what are in the verses because they're like brother A.B. Bay said, I think all three of you guys said the same thing. It's like a timeline. You know what I'm saying? You got to follow a timeline. According to all true and divine true and divine records of human race, there is no Negro, black, colored race attached to the human family. Because all the inhabitants of Africa were and are of the human race, descendants of the ancient Canaanite nation from the Holy Land of Canaan. What your forefathers were, you are today without doubt and contradiction. Doubt or contradiction. Why is he saying that? He puts this as the cap, right? He caps this off in your mind so you'll know that what you just read, you're still that person. But he also put it to lead you into this, right? Well, your ancient forefathers were, you are today without doubt or contradiction. 11. There is no one who is able to change man from the descent nature of their forefathers unless his power extends beyond the great universal creator Allah himself. That's another one to reassure you that you are the same people that dredged the Nile, that created the dominions and inhabitants here in Africa and America. You are the same people. These holy and divine laws, this is law, are from the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the founder of the Uniting of the Moorish Science Temple America. These laws are to be strictly preserved by the members of all temples of the Moorish Science Temple America, that they will learn to open their meaning and guide it according to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Right? Every subordinate temple of the Grand Major Temple is to form under the covenant of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and create their own laws and customs in conjunction with the laws of the Holy Prophet in the Grand Temple. I, the Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, was sent by the great God Allah to warn all Asiatics of America to repent from their sinful ways before the great and awful day which is sure to come. So, you're being told your inheritance, your lineage, and then he talks about the temples. And I kind of question, like, okay, why does he kind of switch gears to talk about the temples? Well, he talk about the temples could pronounce the people to understand that is that when we're setting up how we are maneuvering is how our ancient forefathers are maneuvering. We're setting up with the similar authority, the same authority as our ancestors have. We're maneuvering, he's setting up temples and dominions and habitations as the same as the authority was given to our ancestors. He's parallel. That's why he said you are what your forefathers were, without doubt or contradiction. And then he said, there is no one who is able to change man from the descent nature of their forefathers unless his power extends beyond the great universal creator, Allah himself. So it don't matter what happens, but they call you Negro, black, colored, those things. That changes the surface nature, but doesn't change your actual nature, who you truly are. Once you're there's a study, a psychological system that I learned when I was dealing with an agency years ago. It's called Into. And Into believes that with the right, Into is derived from the Bantu concept of the mind in humans. So Into believes that with the right help and the right like support system, dealing with someone's behavior and traumatic experiences, that the mind will correct itself, given the right space. And you don't really need to force the mind to correct itself, but if you give it the right nurturing tools, it will correct itself. Like the body heals itself. Like if I give it certain herbs, like I get a cut and I put some some aloe on it or whatever, the wound's going to heal. The skin cells are going to repair itself. Islam. And it's the same thing with, your gut. A lot of us have bad gut health, myself included. Some of us, we be gassy, I don't know what, man. That's the gut. But if we were to eat the right things, watermelon, vegetables, get the veggies in us, get some herbs, certain herbs in us, the gut will correct itself. We flush it out. If we flush the gut out right, the proper way, like we should, it'll correct itself. Some of us wouldn't be looking, like we got a whole tank up in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, some of it, that's how it is. Like, but once you eat the right stuff and you get the right proper flush, like that's why sometimes fasting is good. Okay, fasting helps the body correct itself because you're taking a break from feeding and eating. So now the body has time to correct, redigest itself, and flush it out. So this is the same thing with Into. Into is that method of psychology that believes the mind will correct itself. So the prophet, when he gives us these lessons and we read it and we study, the mind, your conscious mind begins to correct itself in its thinking. And you begin to take yourself out of the paradigm of what those labels, Negro, black, color, has put you in. And your mind begins to correct itself. Because this whole thing was to correct us, to correct our minds. It was long. Oh, it's 3:45. So I'm gonna have to, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to stop there. Any questions before I close out? Because I'm running errand.
A good one.
Islam? Huh?
You hear me?
Now, what you said?
So I was wondering, so if you having a little discussion about the difference between the present Moroccan Empire and chapter 47, do you feel like there's a difference between the two?
Yeah,
Or is
absolutely.
all right.
Absolutely. And I'll explain. Like I explained just now, we scrolled up. And first of all, in the context of that, let me touch on the context again of chapter 47. He says present day Moroccan Empire. He only says it once in that chapter. Everything else preceding it does not mention Morocco Empire. So he's talking about our people, same people. Let's not get caught up here. It's the same people existing and doing the same thing prior that has happened to form the present day Moroccan Empire. Present day Moroccan Empire, and if for that instance, is not the same, in that context of when it was written as the Moroccan Empire we know today. Okay. Moroccan Empire we know today has taken on many forms, shapes. There's many different people who are, as you can see, have their hands in the pot. Okay. Does the law still abide? There's a lot of laws that govern Morocco today that are impactful. And if we begin to look and study those particular laws, we can see where these particular things could abide by us, apply to us. Excuse my what I'm saying. Apply to us, even according to the prophet. If you look at what the prophet was doing when he said, "What is the title we give to our ruler in Morocco?" He says, "Sultan." Okay. In the nature of that question and answer in the questionnaire, it puts us under the concept that was talked about in this Western Sahara case. So when I mentioned about the Black Mexican and the Black Seba, two different citizens, us admitting to our ruler in Morocco being titled Sultan would technically put us under the Blessed Seba, citizenship. Like, we don't necessarily are authorized or governed under the strict laws of Morocco in the empire, but we still recognize the ruler in his authority. Okay, we're governed within our own nature, just like those Blessed Seba tribes in the Western Sahara. They recognize the Sultan as the ruler, but they still have their internal government, and they still are governed by the particular area where they live, because it could, the Western Sahara stretches over different nations. So wherever they exist in those nations, they probably still fall under those nations, direct authority, but they still recognize the Sultan as the ruler. Okay. That's the same with us. Like, we're in the United States of America. We're going to abide by the rules of the United States of America. Okay. And we have our own internal rulership, being our head being the Supreme Grand Sheikh. It's the grand authority coming from Allah to the Prophet to our Supreme Grand Sheikh, Supreme Grand Council, and those grand governors and officials, and so forth and so on. That's our internal. But collectively, even Supreme Grand Sheikh, Prophet Noble Ali, recognize, because even that question, he says our, who the title we give to our ruler, our. So the Prophet even put himself in the equation, is saying that he even accepts the ruler, the rulership or the authority of the Sultan. Okay. So what we're saying, in that sense, it's different because, our position, today is different, and the position of Morocco is different in nature. So a lot of things, through time and through relationship building, things will have to shift, for us, and even for our relationship with Morocco. Morocco has to do a lot of governmental shifting within themselves. They just broke away from the Arab Emirates. They're looking for particular uh, allegiance. I think they're trying to get into the African Union. I'm not sure. Brother Abdullah, do you know if Morocco is seeking allegiance with the African Union or no?
I believe they formerly were doing so, and maybe, like you said, considering it. They were,
Reconsider.
yeah, reconsidering it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, because the African Union, I don't want to speak ill about anyone, but they're even not, I would say this, and this is no disrespect, uh, they're not as promising as I thought they would. Once again, there's a lot of politicking games that are being played. Also, with the upheaval in Niger, um, modern Niger, with them trying to break away from the French and expel, basically expel the French out of their land and out of their affairs. They're being met with a lot of hostility um, from a lot of, even Nigeria, different places. They're trying to tell them, let the French stay and all that, or stop uprising and all that stuff like that, because they're trying to paint a picture like, oh no, this is a rebel uh rebel regime trying to take over Niger. Like, no, these are Niger people trying to say we're not going to be ruled under someone who's compromised by the French. And this is actually what's going on in Senegal. Senegal is the same. Islam. The same stuff is going on in Senegal. The youth, the younger people in Senegal are rising up against the government and saying that they refuse to be ruled by a president saying, yo, like, nothing against you, bro. Like, but we're not going to be under this rule if you're going to allow the French to control us from the outside. You know,
So as
you don't
far
hear
as what
about
Noble Drew Ali, as far as what
huh?
Noble Drew Ali, as far as what Noble Drew Ali is doing in Circle 7 and then the 101, do you think when he says First Moroccan Empire, he means America?
No, no. This is not the present Moroccan Empire. No. He's talking about the rulership in Africa. That's obvious. Because when you
Nah, I'm
speak,
verified.
yeah, when you actually read 47, you will see, you will clearly see when he reaches over into the Americas with the language, he begins to, before he says it, he says dominions and inhabitations. Dominions and inhabitations. Then it proceeds to go in and talk about America, reaching over into America. Dominions and habitations. Okay. He says dominions and habitations. That's not the principal empire. That means a dominion is not necessarily the kingdom or empire itself, but it's a stretch, an extension of the empire. You know what I'm saying?
And also, he mentioned the heading of the chapter is Egypt, the capital empire of the Dominion of Africa. So
Yeah,
that's a
yeah,
main theme of the chapter itself. He talks
yeah.
about he calls the Egyptian empire, not the Moroccan empire. Two
Right.
different empires.
The empire is, and this is Egypt was the place, the capital was the capital. You know what I'm saying? So Egypt at that time was the capital. So are we talking about one grand existing rulership where Egypt was the center focus at that time? This was the capital or was the seat of empire, seat of authority at that time? And then later it broke away to become its own kingdom and empire. You know what I'm saying? Because even if you look at, like I mentioned the book before, Ethiopia, Kush, and Kush, so the Drusilla Houston does her book. She talks about even the empire, speaking of Kush, stretching over into Spain. She mentions that in the book.
Who book is it?
Drusilla Hughes Dunson's book, Ethiopia. I'll pull it up.
Islam.
Islam.
Islam. When
Yeah.
we mention empire, just for clarification, are we talking about political? Or when we talking about empire, we're talking about political empire or genealogical empire?
We're talking
Because for
about
many, because for many years, I would always consider, and I have a different perspective now, but it still can be applicable. I always consider Noble Drew Ali to be referring to the Moroccan Empire as being a genealogical empire, meaning that Cushitic peoples inhabited modern day Africa and the Americas. That was my interpretation for that. And then I started looking into it for political, in a political sense. But
it's
the understanding that you're giving today, I resonate with it a lot. It's bringing
yeah,
new light to my mind about this whole topic.
yeah. You're looking at almost, you could say both though, Brother Abdullah, because later on when he's speaking on genealogical connection, but it's starting off with a political connection. You know what I'm saying? It's starting off politically, and then you know, at this moment it's genealogical because inside of us carries the same genes of those who started those empires. Okay. But when the prophet is speaking, he's not saying that the United States of America or any other country in the Western Hemisphere is today Morocco in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Because remember, you got to read the language of the text. He's mentioned dominions and habitations. You know what I'm saying? That means that they came over and they dwelled here at one time, and then whatever through time, we lost those dominions.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We lost dominion. We're no longer in that dominion, but at the same time, even though we lost the dominions, we're still the same people. So what's the more science temple America formed for? It's to propagate the faith, Muhammad in America. Boom. Yeah, but in the more inner agenda is, let's kind of, get ourselves situated. That's why it has this stretch with home rule authority. Home rule authority gives the temple the ability to self-govern itself no matter where it sets itself up at. That means when it comes to our eternal affairs and dealing with our society, our religious society, that means that, we have, have priority. Nobody else can interfere. That in other terms, you want to call that jurisdiction, that's what it is that we have first jurisdiction over that. So yeah, you had your hand up, bro. Islam?
Yeah, I did, but I didn't want to go into a spiraling circle. I just wanted to get a clarification one last time, just so I'm reading this correctly. Who is the founders and the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire? Islam.
Islam, Quran chapter 47. That's us.
Islam, when you say us, are you talking about those that refer to themselves as Negro, Black, and Colored, etc., in the Americas, in the adjoining islands in South America?
Absolutely, that's everybody.
So,
because in our bloodline.
So hold on, no. I want to continue the question so you can answer it, so I have a full understanding. So these people, which are including us, that's on the line today, are the founders, the bloodline, the true founders, and the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire, and we're living here in all the Americas, North, South, Central, and the adjoining islands, over in the Morocco, Northwest, in what we consider today Africa. Is that correct?
Yeah, you said Northwest Africa? Yeah.
Yes. In Northwest Africa, that we call today, over in the east.
Yeah, and on the continent of Africa. Yes.
Okay. Islam is. I don't have nothing else to say. I just wanted to get that, and then we can speak on that on another day. Islamism. Thank you. Thank all the other brothers too.
Islam. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's good. You know what I'm saying? Ask your questions. And I said, we'll keep it to the chapter 47. And like I said, you got to read it thoroughly in order to understand what is actually resonating. Yes.
You have to leave, right? You have to go?
Yeah, I'm about to close.
You'd like to go, right?
Yeah, I have to close.
All right. I won't bring up any more things. I'll respect your time.
Text me. Yeah, text me if you have
it's for the benefit of the overall call and meeting, but it'll keep things going. So I want to let you go.
I do gotta go. Okay. I gotta run to the store. I gotta buy some groceries because I said I was gonna do it, and I gotta get myself together. Inshallah. Yes, I apologize to anyone who might have a burning question. Right now, I do have to go. I do apologize. I wish I could take this into another hour or so, but I have to do. And I usually work today too, but I called out today. But I do got some stuff I gotta do. That's the reason why I called out. But without any further questions, I just want to first say I thank y'all for being on the call. Islam, everyone's appreciated. You know what I'm saying? Brother Eric, it's, man, when you in your bag, brother, it's a joy, bro. I love it when you be in your bag, just ready, ready to go. Sister Bacola, it's good to see you. I don't think you dropped off. The brother Derek is also, I'm gonna try to be on top of that thing for you, brother. I'm gonna actually reach out to Divine, inshallah, today. Talk to him. Brother Yeshua, hope all is well, brother. It's good to see you again. Brother Abdullah, you know it's always a pleasure. Y'all keep firing away, brother. It is good, brother. And I see you learning too. Because your questions are even um showing a lot more growth too. I like that. It's definitely good. It's definitely good to see you guys on the call. Praise Allah. Um, I gotta get other people on too. Please keep brother Fenty Bay son, Fenty Bay Jr. in prayer still. I haven't got an update yet, but when you get a chance, please send some energy and do it for him. For those who don't know, once again, he suffered from a gun wound to the head. He's still in the hospital. We want to keep him in prayer. Okay, inshallah. I definitely got to plug that. All right. And also, there is a brother who's not necessarily with our administration, but he is a good Moor. He's from Trenton area. His name is James Florence L. Grand Sheik of Temple 48 under our Jones Bay's leadership. He suffered a stroke at his convention a few weeks ago. He is still in Chicago, supposedly, from what I know. Please keep him in prayer as well. He's a good brother. I work with him at a job. Um, Always a pleasure to see him. Um, you know what I'm saying? I hope he, all is well with him. You know what I'm saying? So just keep those Moors in your prayers and your thoughts, inshallah. So we're gonna move to close. To the members of the Moor Science of America to be read in every meeting. Islam, this is instructions from your prophet, Noble Drew. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is now on. But the weak can comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I know what That is why many hearts have been turned to stone, and many eyes to see but cannot see, ears to hear but cannot hear. These they will be confounded of their sins. These are trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause the confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice your utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine national principles of your temple. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace. Your divine prophet, Ali. Prophet warns all Muslims to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical speeches while at home, while in their homes or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards with the Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. We are for love, true peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet will violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive the reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors must obey the law laid down to them by their prophet, and if they lose confidence in their prophet, give up your card and button, cease wearing your turban or fez, and return to the state where our prophet found you. For this is a holy divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Ali, and if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they may do their part in protecting the prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to the devious people from the sinful ways. Peace, number 12. To be proclaimed in every meeting, Islam. I'm glad to know that I have few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth of the divine truth. There's a host of jealousy about me in the movement now by the same people on our side of the nation that claimed that I was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is to the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and the uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I'm calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through the jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. And it has been proven by my works which I have performed in the past few years. No prophet, no driver. Close with the prophet's prayer. 2 fingers on the right, 5 on the left. Allah, bind our hearts and minds back to our ancient forefathers, divine creed and principle. This we ask in our holy name in the 7th of the Amen.